Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, I'm covering part 2 of the Worgen starting experience in Duskhaven and the rest. So let's get... As mentioned in part 1, the Scourge started encroaching on Gilnean territory during the Third War, and Gen was pretty desperate to stop them from breaching the wall, so he enlisted the help of an archmage called Arugel. This bloke was originally from Gilneas, but had moved to Dalaran to become a member of the Kirin Tor. But the Scourge then destroyed Dalaran, so he just went home again. Arugel had knowledge of a mysterious race called Worgen, and had a plan to use them against the Scourge. But where the bloody hell did Worgen come from, you ask? Well, once upon a night elf, druids had spent a long time trying to figure out how to control their pack form, which was the form of a wolf, with the full fury of the wild god Goldrin. Even Malfurion had experimented with this particular form, only to end up attacking his mentor, Cenarius. And Cenarius was like, "Chill out, mate," and put him to sleep within the great tree, Darelnir. And when Malfurion woke up, he was a little bit embarrassed, and ended up forbidding everyone from being a wolf. But one group of druids, called the Druids of the Pack, were like, "You what, mate?" and just carried on doing it anyway. Cut to the War of the Satyr, the latest leader of the Druids of the Pack, R'hllor Fangfire, along with a priestess called Belysra Starbreeze, felt like they could succeed where no one else had. Their theory was, the magic of the goddess Elune would probably tame the untamable form of the wolf. So Belysra led a ritual that combined the moon goddess's magic, an artifact that was basically just one of Goldrin's fangs sellotaped to the staff of Elune, so it was now a scythe, and their pack form. And surprise, it made things worse. Not only did it transform them from wolves into full-blown Worgen, it also completely failed to calm the form's overwhelming fury. And they discovered that a bite from one of these new Worgen twats turned other night elves into these beasts as well. However, it did kinda turn the tides in the war against the Satyr. They won that, but the Worgen were completely uncontrollable, and just attacked anyone and everyone. So Malfurion had no choice but to banish them to the Emerald Dream, and put them to sleep beneath Darelnir, just as Cenarius had done to him. Back to Arugel, the Archmage informed King Greymane that he could summon these Worgen beasts from the Emerald Dream. However, he did warn the king about them being complete maniacs, and Gen was like, "It'll be fine." At first, it ended up being a great idea. The Worgen tore through the Scourge with ease, but then they turned on the Gilnean soldiers and infected them. And it didn't take long for the Worgen curse to make its way inside the Greymane wall and begin to spread. Now let's continue the adventures of Bigby Cheeselegs, shall we? Several months after his last stand at Lightstorn Cathedral, Bigby Cheeselegs regained consciousness and found himself imprisoned in some stocks. Crenan Aranus was desperately trying to force a potion down his throat, whilst Lord Godfrey complained, and King Greymane watched like a perv. As far as Lord Godfrey was concerned, these Worgen creatures were beyond saving. "Let's just bloody kill him." The king then piped up, "Those that stayed in Gilneas City so that we could live. We should just kill them, should we?" "Nah, didn't think so, you twat. So shut up. Hand me the potion, Crenan, and double the dosage." Our hero then kind of passed out again, but the next time he woke up, Bigby had been released from the stocks, and Lord Godfrey had a quest for him. "So, Crenan's potion didn't kill you. Guess that means there is some humanity left in there. Go speak to Crenan and give him the good news. But I've got my eye on you. Try anything funny and I'll shoot you in the face." Bigby reported to Crenan, "The curse isn't curable, as far as I'm aware, but with more treatment, we can at least make sure you don't turn into a raving lunatic again. I'll need some mandrake essence to brew another batch of serum for you. There's a crate of it over there." Bigby head southwest a little bit and found the crate, but he also found a dead watchman with a knife stuck in his ribs. The knife had a skull ornament on its hilt, but before our hero could discover any further clues, he noticed two savage-looking warships arrive at the shore. Gilneas was being invaded. He ran back to Duskhaven and found Gwen Armstead, who was now mayor of the town. All these recent earthquakes must have opened a passage for the Forsaken to get through the reefs. Go find the prince, see what he needs, and make sure he doesn't get himself killed or something. Prince Liam had a couple of quests available. Kill 10 Forsaken invaders and throw a bunch of gunpowder kegs at the abominations. So our hero ran around the battlefield doing those things. After that, Prince Liam advised him to go back to Mayor Armstead, and she informed our hero that Lord Godfrey was leading an attack near the Forsaken's landing area. He's hanging about in the storm cellar at the Alum Farmstead. See ya. Arriving at the cellar, Godfrey approached our hero like, "I'm not even slightly a fan of having a Worgen among our ranks. What if Crenan's drugs wear off, eh? You gonna start nibbling on us, are you freak? Look, go out to the battlefield, kill as many of those Forsaken as you can. And by as many as you can, I mean 8. And after that, climb onto one of their catapults, fire yourself at their ships, and take out their captains. Understand? Q." After killing a bunch more Forsaken, our hero jumped on a catapult, and off he went. He soared like an eagle, and he missed because he's an idiot. So he jumped on another catapult and tried again. Eventually, he managed to soar like an eagle in the right direction, get on the stupid ships, and kill the stupid captains. Back to Lord Godfrey, we've discovered the identity of their leader, one of Sylvanas' hand-picked Dark Rangers, Theala. She's overseeing the ground assault from the Worgen house near the shore. Take this dog whistle, get close to her, and then use it, and she'll be attacked by a bunch of dogs or something. So Bigby did that weird and convoluted thing and all was right in the world. But before anyone could celebrate the end of the Forsaken invasion, explosion! Lord Godfrey immediately advised our hero to go and find out what the bloody hell that was all about. Prince Liam was waiting just outside. The ocean just swallowed everything. The land, the Forsaken, our men. There's no time to waste, Bigby. Half the town watch were in that area that just collapsed. Swim out there and save as many as you can. And by as many as you can, I mean 4. So Bigby went for a quick swim and saved 4 random blokes. Prince Liam was then like, these earthquakes are not an enemy we can defeat, so we should probably cheese it. Mayor Armstead will help you with the evacuation. Mayor Armstead didn't really help with the evacuation at all. She just sent Bigby to do it. Firstly, Bigby head over to Grandma Wall's house to convince her it was time to go. And like most of the old people in World of Warcraft, she was a little bit senile. Before she'd leave, she was like, find my favourite book, my clothes, and also my cat. Most of that was pretty easy, but when it came to saving the cat, some Forsaken bloke called Lucius the Cruel was using it as bait to, I don't know, lure out a senile old lady or something. But Lucius the Cruel was a Lucius the Fool, and he died. Next, our hero head over to the Hayward Fishery to inform the Hayward brothers it was time to leave. They were going to evacuate anyway, but then the Forsaken showed up, and the earthquakes kind of destroyed their boats, so Bigby quickly solved their problems. And finally, Bigby went to speak to Lorna Crowley at the Crowley Orchard. As far as she was aware, her father hadn't made it out of Gilnea's city, and she'd been a bit of a hermit ever since. We're not going to make it very far without transportation. There's a bunch of horses in a nearby stable which you could totally round up, but there's a slight problem. That earthquake has spooked an Etin, Koroth, and you're like level 7, so there's no way you're beating an Etin anytime soon. But Bigby didn't need to beat the Etin. He just snuck around and grabbed 5 horses and it was fine. And that worked out pretty well, because it turned out 5 horses was the perfect amount of horses to get some carriages moving back at Duskhaven. Now everyone could head to the safety of Greymane Manor, and Bigby rode ahead to speak to Queen Greymane about the gravity of the situation. Queen Mia Greymane listened to our hero's report about the gravity of the situation, and immediately told him to just go talk to her husband. He's been up in his observatory for ages, probably coming up with some kind of plan or something. He's such a good boy. As Bigby reached Gen, they both watched in horror as the entire Duskhaven area got swallowed by the sea. Guess they'd made it out of there just in time. Unfortunately, Greymane Manor wasn't going to end up being the safe haven everyone was hoping for. We're too vulnerable here, Mr. Cheeselegs. We need to move even further inland. Go back down to the stables. Let's get everybody onto the carriages and head to Stormglen. On the way to Stormglen, they came across a crashed carriage and Prince Liam. Thanks for stopping. I thought you were just going to drive right past me. Our carriage got hit pretty bad by ogres, but the carriage in front had it worse. They crapped themselves and steered off into the marsh. Go rescue them. Once the survivors were rescued, Prince Liam was like, you may have noticed by now that us Gilneans are good at making really weird and convoluted plans. We've got Forsaken on our heels and ogres trying to flank us. But these ogres serve that Etin that you didn't kill earlier. If we bait Koroth into attacking the Forsaken for us, that'd be swell. So here's the plan. We're going to kill a bunch of ogres and steal Koroth's most prized possession, his banner. And then we're going to plant said banner on the Forsaken and make it look like they did it. Understand? Q. Surprisingly, that plan actually worked, even though Bigby literally stole Koroth's banner from right in front of him. But you know what they say, never punch a gift horse in the mouth. With their retreat covered, all the carriages continued their journey to Stormglen. Gwen Armstead, who was probably now the mayor of this town, because that seems to be how that works, then gave Bigby his next lot of quests, mainly involving killing a bunch of spiders and their giant mum, called Rigna. And Lorna asked our hero to collect a bunch of old journal pages to try and piece together what happened in Stormglen. After all of that, Lorna put together the journal pages and figured out where to go next. Some people from Stormglen survived after the curse broke out and headed to Tempest Reach, but the bloke who wrote this journal, Old Man Bradshaw, decided to venture into the Blackwold. Let's head to the mill where he lived and see if we can find any more clues. Arriving at the abandoned mill, Bigby found more than he bargained for, a night elf. Hey, how's it going? I'm Belissa Starbreeze. You might not know my people, but our destinies have been linked ever since the curse befell you. You probably have questions, and I will answer them, I promise. But first, you have an enemy tracking you, one of Sylvanas' dark scouts, so you might want to murder them. So our hero pretended to be lured into the sneaky scout's trap, used Belissera's talisman to avoid getting one-shotted, murdered the Forsaken twat, and then returned. There's others like you, Bigby, in a place that you need to go. Tal'Daren, the wild home. You'll find your answers there. But also an old friend. I don't want to spoil it, but his name rhymes with Darius Browley. Bigby arrived at Tal'Daren and discovered Darius Crowley alive and kicking, and all Worgenish. Whilst Crennan's serum had helped temporarily keep Bigby's mindless state at bay, Darius and the other survivors had managed to regain their free will on a more permanent basis, thanks to a special ritual. Unfortunately, there were some things that needed doing before Bigby could enjoy this ritual himself. The Forsaken aren't just here for our land. They're looking for something we possess. An artifact capable of spreading the curse to all humanity. The Scythe of Elune. Sylvanas' banshees are at our doorstep, so we should probably kill them. A night elf called Vassandra Stormclaw had a quest as well. Long story short, if we're going to do this ritual, we're going to need some moonleaf. But it's alright, because it's literally lying around on the ground. Our hero ran around collecting moon leaves and killing banshees. But unfortunately, things took a turn for the worse. We tried to keep the location of the Scythe of Elune a secret from the Forsaken, and we were doing a pretty good job, until just now, when they found it. Head to Wood's End Cabin and find the Dark Rangers. Blow this here horn, then Tobias Mistmantle and his men will engage them. And with them busy, you can venture inside the cabin and take back the scythe. Took a few tries because Bigby kept getting aggro off the Dark Rangers and dying, but eventually he managed to get inside the cabin, grab the scythe, and then cheese it back to Tal'Daren. It was now time for the Ritual of Balance. Basically, Bigby just needed to drink from a bunch of bird baths. The Well of Tranquility, the Well of Balance, and the Well of Fury. So he did that. Lorna appeared and had a lovely little moment reuniting with her father, and then Lord Godfrey arrived and ruined it. You and your elven mates are hereby ordered to serve alongside the King's army. Cursed or not, you're still bound by Gilnean law. As the King himself approached, Darius was a little bit angry. Does this toad speak for you again? Do you come to our dwelling as a friend, or as a tyrant? Neither, old buddy, old pal. I've come to you as an equal. Out of nowhere, the King of Gilneas revealed that he had also become victim to the curse, which Lord Godfrey wasn't a big fan of, but Darius bloody loved it. You're a Worgen too? In that case, my men are ready to give their lives under your command, mate. That settles it then. Let's drive these Forsaken knobs out of here. Next, our hero needed to head out to Tempest's Reach. When he arrived, he found Crennan Araneth. He was visibly upset because Gen Greymane had somehow managed to get himself captured, even though he was fine a few seconds ago. Turns out, there'd been a betrayal. Godfrey, along with 2 other lords, had decided to try and strike a deal with the Forsaken. Their intention was to turn Gen over to them. Listen, we need to resolve this problem with as little bloodshed as possible, or else we'll face yet another Gilnean civil war. Take this stealth potion, sneak up the mountain, and assassinate those 2 other traitorous lords. Once they were dead, Bigby found the king, as well as Lord Godfrey. It's over, you jerk! You have no support left among the Eastern Lords. Godfrey, who was so racist that he decided he'd rather die than have a Worgen as a king, went ahead and jumped off the cliff to his death. Which is great. No one will miss him. The king then advised our hero to jump on a horse and head to the Livery Outpost. There's a mining town currently under Forsaken control. Go meet up with the whole gang. We're going to take that place back. And we're going to gloss over a few quests here because this bloody video is going on forever. Our hero did a whole bunch of things to secure the mine and the surrounding area. As a result, every available Gilnean had now been rallied and armed. It was time to meet the enemy head on. It was time for the Battle of Gilnean City! Prince Liam made the inspiring speech this time. We will fight them in the fields. We'll fight them in the streets. We'll fucking fight them in the alleys and stuff. The battle was hard and fierce. They did indeed fight them in the streets and the fucking alleys and stuff. When the Gilnean forces reached the prison, a giant abomination named Gorrot barred their way, but thanks to some conveniently placed cannons, he exploded. At Greymane Square, the Gilnean army found the Banshee Queen herself, Sylvanas Windrunner. Bigby just kind of fought against trash whilst Gen jumped in and faced Sylvanas, but she's protected by some pretty thick plot armour, so when she was down to about 25% health, she just stunned everyone. Sylvanas then fired a poisoned arrow at the king. Her aim was true, but Prince Liam was like, "No, daddy, no!" and jumped in the way. As Sylvanas ran away like a little bitch, Gen Greymane cradled his son in his arms, and the prince took his last breath. Then he snuffed it. It was pretty sad, man. But the Forsaken had almost been completely driven back. The Gilneans had regained 3 of the 4 city districts. It was Lorna Crowley who decided now was not the time for grieving. We'll mourn when this is all over, but not a day sooner. Liam deserves swift vengeance, so let's chase after that banshee bitch. Tobias Mistmantle led the way as Bigby followed to the cathedral district. Some Forsaken general went ahead and loudly announced that an orcish emissary was going to meet the Banshee Queen inside the cathedral, so that was helpful. Tobias and Bigby head inside, and then quickly found themselves having to hide in the indoor swimming pool that has no place being inside a cathedral. Looks like you're losing control of this invasion, Sylvanas. Garrosh is starting to think he might have to do this himself. Shut up, it's just a minor setback. Well, you sound confident. Wait, you're not going to use the bloody plague again, are you? All you ever seem to do is use the plague. Of course I'm not going to deploy the plague. We don't even make it anymore. Just go deliver your report back, don't even worry about it. The Orcish general left the cathedral, and High Executor Crenshaw approached the Banshee Queen. "Did I just hear you correctly? Were we supposed to stop production of the plague? Why are you asking me stupid questions? Get the plague ready to deploy." Back to Greymane Square. Our hero decided there was probably never going to be a good time to notify the king of this latest development. He had just lost his son after all. But Gilneas' future relied on him getting his shit together and leading them all to safety. "Every fibre of my being wants to exact swift and brutal revenge. But I must honour my son's memory. He cared for his people first and foremost. I want you to prevent the plague from being deployed, whilst we evacuate to Aderic's Repose. We've captured a Forsaken bat, so use it to bomb the shit out of them." Whilst Bigby flew around bombing the shit out of them, the Gilneans cheesed it out of the city through the Undertaker's Pass. Once Bigby was done, he returned to the king, who had nicely decided to stick around and wait for him. "Take this torch. You'll need it. The tunnels are full of nasty critters, but the fire will keep them at bay. Speak to Krenin on the other side." The tunnel was indeed full of nasty critters, all hell-bent on biting Bigby's balls off, but he made it through and found Krenin. Unfortunately, the Gilnean people's evacuation through the tunnels had disturbed the resting spirits in the graveyard at Aderic's Repose, so Bigby had to quickly grab a bunch of mementos to appease them. But that didn't take long. After that, Krenin sent our hero to Keel Harbour. The other survivors are there. The king hasn't arrived yet, but Lord Crowley will probably have something for you to do. And Lord Crowley definitely had something for Bigby to do. The Night Elves have outdone themselves. They've brought ships and are willing to offer us sanctuary in their lands. But the Forsaken allies have arrived as well. If we're going to make it out of here, you're going to need to use a Night Elf glaive thrower to destroy the enemies blocking our path. Bigby bloody loved using the glaive thrower. It was a perfect ending to what had been a pretty crap day. There was now only one obstacle that remained between the Gilneans and safety: a Horde gunship. Luckily, there were a bunch of explosives left over from the Northgate Rebellion in a nearby storehouse. So, after Tobias Mistmantle gave the okay, Bigby, Lorna and a few others jumped on some Night Elf hippogriffs and flew up to the gunship. The strike team secured the rafters and then head below deck. They then took control of the airship and planted the explosives in the furnace room. But then a massive orc called Corm Bonegrind appeared, so they killed him, jumped on some wyverns that were roosting on the lower deck, and flew back down to the harbour. And the gunship exploded. And none of them looked back at the explosion because they're all super awesome cool. It was over. The Elven fleet ferried the Gilneans to the distant shores of Kalimdor. They were soon set up within Darnassus inside a great tree called the Howling Oak. It would take time for the Gilneans to feel at home, but they were nothing but grateful. So grateful, in fact, that Bigby was almost immediately sent out to repay the Night Elves and solve all of their problems for them in Darkshore. And we're leaving it there! So that is the Worgen video. Done. I'm glad it's over. Maybe you can understand why I was a bit reluctant to do it before, considering how bloody long it is. In the next video, I'll be making a start on adapting the novels. What I'm going to do is adapt them in order, I think. Starting with Dawn of the Aspects. Because I put that book as first in the timeline. I know some folk put Rise of the Horde first, but I don't care. Big whoops, want to fight about it? That video will be up when it's ready, but then hopefully after that I'll be back to a schedule of some kind. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks, and all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!